"Who dared to touch my daughter?" the alien queen roared, and a human man walked forward. Strange symbols hovered in the air, twisting slowly like smoke. Every creature in the hall was different. Some had multiple eyes, some had wings, some glowed with a soft inner light. At the far end of the hall, sitting on a throne that seemed carved from living crystal, was the alien queen. Her size was enormous, her skin a deep green with patterns that shifted like waves. Her eyes burned like twin suns, and every being in the room felt the power she carried. Today was meant to be a meeting of peace. Humans had arrived to speak with the alien empire. The humans were few in number, simple in appearance, and much smaller than the towering aliens. Yet their presence had a strange effect. Some aliens whispered that humans were fragile. Some said humans were weak, but there was something different in the way humans looked at the world. It was quiet, calm, and strangely firm. The hall was silent as the queen's voice suddenly filled the room. It was not loud in the way humans thought of sound. It was more like a wave passing through everyone's mind. The words were sharp, full of anger. "Who dared to touch my daughter?" she roared. A gasp went through the hall, whispers spread like fire. The queen's daughter, young and delicate, stood near her throne. Her skin shimmered with pale blue light, and her eyes were large, bright, and curious. She was small compared to the queen, but still taller than most humans. The court looked toward her, fear written on every face. One human, standing near the edge of the hall, froze. John Carter's heart beat fast. He had been here for weeks as part of a small delegation. He had never expected to face a queen so directly, and certainly never imagined being accused of harming a royal child. John stepped forward slowly. His uniform was simple, white and gray, with a small patch that marked him as a medic. His hands shook slightly, but his face stayed calm. The queen's eyes narrowed, and her many attendants leaned forward, sensing danger. I did touch her," John said, his voice steady even though his stomach twisted. "But not to harm her," the court murmured. Some aliens hissed, others clicked their mandibles. Touching a royal alien child was forbidden. It was a crime punishable by death. Yet John did not back away. He raised his head and met the queen's blazing eyes. "Explain," the queen demanded, her voice like a storm. "Why did you touch her? Did you think to take her life or bring dishonor to my empire?" John swallowed. He knew that lying would mean instant death. Humans were small and they were fragile, but they had something else, courage born of knowing what was right. He took a deep breath. Her hand was bleeding. She had fallen on a crystal. It was sharp. She needed help. "I only wanted to help." The queen's rage did not fade. Her mouth opened wide, showing rows of sharp teeth, and she let out a sound that shook the room. The humans around John stepped back. Many were afraid, thinking he would be crushed by the queen's power, but he stayed. "Your words mean nothing," the queen said. "You are human, you are weak. Your touch is fragile. My daughter could have died, and yet you dared to place your hands upon her." John did not flinch. He had trained for situations like this, though never like this. He spoke slowly so every word could be understood. "I only saved her life. If I had not acted, she might have lost too much blood. Please, you can see it." He gestured toward the girl. Her small hand still had a faint mark where the crystal had cut her. Some aliens whispered. The attendants looked worried. No human had ever stood so boldly before the queen. Most species would have collapsed into fear, trembling and begging for mercy. John only stood tall. The queen's daughter looked at John with wide eyes. She did not speak. No one had ever seen her speak in the court. She was protected, hidden, and treated as delicate as glass, yet there was something in her gaze that seemed to say she trusted him. "Prove it," the queen said finally, her voice quiet but full of menace. "Prove your claim." "I want to see your mind. I want to see what you did." John's stomach tightened. The alien empire had a method for this. They could enter the minds of other species, see memories, and read intentions. Humans often could not survive it. Many would die from the strain. John knew this risk, yet he did not step back. "I will," he said. "You can see everything. I did what I thought was right." A wave of energy passed through the hall. The queen's attendants opened strange crystal devices. They glowed and hummed. Light extended toward John, wrapping around him like invisible chains. He could feel something probing, delicate, and strong at the same time. It touched his mind. A sharp pain shot through him, and he gritted his teeth. He had trained his mind to endure stress, but this was different. This was invasive. This was the alien empire reaching into his soul. Images flashed before the queen and the court. John's hands, steady and careful, pressed against the cut on the princess's palm. Blood was bright red against her pale blue skin. He wrapped a soft cloth around it. He sang quietly a human song, hoping to soothe the pain. The princess's eyes, large and frightened, slowly relaxed. She blinked at him. She did not cry. She trusted him. The court watched silently. No one spoke. Some aliens leaned closer, their eyes wide. It was rare for a human to be so composed, so focused. Most humans would have screamed or panicked. John endured every second, every probing thought, every question sent by the Queen's mind readers. After a few long moments, the Queen's eyes narrowed. She saw the truth. The human had not intended harm. He had acted with care. He had acted with courage. Yet her anger did not leave. She was a mother. Her child could have died. She could not let this be forgotten. "You are bold," she said, her voice trembling slightly, though it did not lose its power. "You face death, and yet you speak truth. Few species have this courage. Humans, you may be stronger than I thought, but my daughter's safety is sacred. You must answer for touching her without permission." John nodded. He did not shrink. He understood the laws, and he understood the Queen's pain. "I accept your judgment," he said. "But I ask that you see what really happened. I saved her." The princess finally spoke. Her voice was soft but clear. "He helped me," she said. "He did not hurt me. He saved me." The court gasped. It was the first time her voice had been heard in this hall. Her words held weight. She was small, but her position was strong. The Queen looked at her daughter, then back at John. The tension was immense. Every being in the hall felt it. John took a step back, bowing slightly. He did not bow in fear, but in respect. He hoped his calmness, his honesty, and his courage would reach the Queen. The Queen's attendants whispered. Some eyes softened. The humans at the edge of the hall let out quiet sighs of relief. No one dared to move too quickly because the Queen's wrath could flare at any moment. "You will remain here," the Queen said finally, "until we are certain. Your mind will be tested further. Only then will we know if your words are true. If you fail, humans will learn that touching royalty is death." John nodded. He understood. He would endure whatever tests were needed. Humans were small, but they could endure. They could survive. They could show courage that no one expected. As the court quieted and the Queen's energy slowly withdrew from him, John looked at the princess. Her small hand still had the faint mark of the injury. Her eyes held a strange trust, a fragile hope. He smiled softly. "Don't worry. I won't let anything happen to you," he thought, though she could not hear him. The Queen leaned back on her throne, still powerful, still dangerous, but now curious. She had met a human who did not fear her, who did not lie, who stood tall even under the pressure of her mind. She did not know if she could trust him yet, but she had to see the truth. Outside, the stars shone through the great windows of the hall. The humans had come far from Earth, small in numbers, small in size, yet somehow their courage reached across the vast emptiness of space. John Carter, simple human medic, was now the center of the alien empire's attention. What would come next was unknown, yet he stood ready, and that readiness was perhaps his greatest strength. The hall remained quiet, but the tension lingered. Whispers of humans' courage spread among the aliens. For the first time, some began to wonder if humans were more than they seemed. The Queen, though still angry and protective, could not hide a flicker of respect. This was only the beginning. The hall was quiet after the Queen's last words. The humans remained grouped near the edge, their faces pale but alert. John Carter stayed in the center, his hands clasped loosely. He knew what would come next. The aliens would want proof of his words, and the proof could be dangerous. Humans were not strong in the ways aliens were, but John had one thing that many species underestimated: patience and courage. The Queen's attendants began moving again, floating crystal devices in the air. The devices glowed softly and sent thin threads of light toward John. He felt the threads touch his skin, gentle at first, then probing, testing his mind. It was the alien empire's memory review. Humans rarely survived it, but John had trained for high-stress situations. He focused, breathing slowly, and tried to keep his thoughts clear. "Start," the Queen commanded. Her voice was calm now, but it carried an invisible weight. "Let us see your mind." "Show what happened to my daughter." John nodded. He closed his eyes and thought of the morning it had happened. The alien princess had wandered near the medical bay. She was curious, moving faster than any guard expected. She reached a table where strange crystals glowed softly. One of the crystals tipped over. It cut her hand. Blood spread quickly on her pale blue skin. John had been nearby, preparing for routine medical work with his human team. He had seen the fall. Without hesitation, he had rushed forward. He pressed a clean cloth against the wound. The pain in her hand was sharp and she trembled. John spoke softly. He sang a quiet human song to calm her. His voice was not loud, but it was firm. The princess's breathing slowed. She stopped crying. The blood was wrapped, cleaned, and bandaged. The injury was small but deep enough to hurt. John had not thought of rank, of rules, or of danger. He had only thought of saving a life. The memory flashed in the minds of the court. The queen's eyes narrowed as the images formed. John's hands were steady. The princess's eyes, wide and frightened at first, slowly relaxed. The court could see the care he gave, the patience, and the concern. The attendants whispered. Some clicked their mandibles in disbelief. Humans were supposed to be weak, fragile, and fearful. Yet here was one who stayed calm even under pressure. One of the queen's advisors leaned closer. He spoke in the alien language, translated into the human interpreter, though John barely noticed. He is showing honesty. His memory matches what we know. But can he endure the full review? The queen's voice filled the hall again. Continue, push his mind. Let us see if he is true or if he hides deceit. John felt the threads deepen. Suddenly, it was not just his memory being shown. The aliens probed his intentions, his fears, his thoughts. Pain flared in his mind, sharp and burning. Humans were not made for this kind of invasion. Most would scream, collapse, or die. John felt the pressure, but he held steady. He focused on the princess, on her hand, on the quiet moments when she had looked at him and trusted him. The court watched silently. The queen's daughter, small and fragile, glanced at John. She did not speak, but her presence seemed to give him strength. He imagined her smiling after the pain, small fingers wrapped in cloth. He remembered her breathing slowing. He remembered the relief in her eyes. He held on to that, letting it protect him from the alien probes. Images of other human experiences flashed as well. John's mind showed how humans cared for others. He remembered his mother nursing his brother when he was sick. He remembered strangers helping neighbors in storms. He remembered humans saving each other from accidents, disasters, and war. Humans were small, yes, but their determination, their care, and their endurance were strong. The aliens saw it now. The queen's eyes widened. She had never seen this before. Most species were strong physically, or intelligent, or powerful. Humans were none of these in the ways she expected. Yet there was a quiet strength in them, a determination that could not be broken easily. She leaned forward on her throne, her long fingers curling around the edges. Her daughter looked at John, trusting him still. He is different, one of the attendants whispered. Humans are fragile, but his mind, it resists, it endures. The queen's voice cut through the whispers. Do not praise him yet, we must see the full truth. A human mind can deceive, it can hide under calmness. John felt the pressure increase. The threads dug deeper, probing memories he had long buried. He remembered moments of fear on distant planets when humans faced disasters, when ships crashed, when friends were lost. He remembered the grief and pain. He felt it all again. Yet he stood firm. He let the court see the human truth, not perfection, but honesty, courage, and care. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. The energy in the hall hummed louder. John's body ached under the strain, but he held his focus. Finally, the probing slowed. The threads retracted. John opened his eyes slowly. His head ached and his legs trembled, but he was still standing. The queen studied him. She could see it now. John had not lied. He had not harmed her daughter. He had acted with care and courage, yet her anger did not fade. Mothers were not easily calmed. Her voice softened slightly, though it still carried power. You survived the review, she said. Few humans could. Most would have collapsed. Your courage, it is rare. John bowed slightly. I only did what was right, he said simply. I wanted to help her, nothing more. The queen's daughter took a step forward. Her small voice echoed softly through the hall. He helped me, she said. He did not hurt me, he saved me. The court murmured again. This was unusual. Royal children rarely spoke in public. They were protected, hidden, and shielded from influence. Yet here she was, confirming John's story. The queen's eyes softened as she looked at her daughter. Pride, fear, and relief battled in her gaze. Your words and your mind show truth, the queen said slowly. Humans may be small, but your spirit is not. Your courage is unusual. John nodded. He did not ask for reward or praise. Humans had little use for glory in these moments. He only wanted fairness. I ask that my people not be judged unfairly because of me, he said. The queen considered this. She had seen humans as fragile and weak. Now she saw something different. A small species, yes, but one with determination and courage that could not be ignored. She leaned back slightly on her throne. The court waited in silence, tension still thick but curiosity growing. "You will remain here," she said finally. "Until we are certain your actions are understood fully. You may not leave, but you will not be harmed for now. We must consider the implications." John relaxed slightly. It was not freedom, but it was something he could endure. He had survived the memory review, shown his honesty, and protected the princess. That was enough for the moment. He looked at the princess again. Her hand, now fully bandaged, shone softly in the light. She blinked at him, and he felt a small smile on his lips. She was safe, and she trusted him. That trust was a quiet victory. The court began to disperse slightly, though all eyes remained on the queen, the princess, and the human who had dared to touch royalty. Some whispered about courage. Some whispered about strange human strength. John stood quietly waiting, but also observing. He realized that he was changing the perception of humans before the entire alien empire. Later, when the hall was quieter, John sat at the edge with the other humans. He could still feel the faint threads lingering in his mind. The memory review was exhausting. Every muscle ached, yet there was no fear. He had faced the greatest danger a human could face in the alien empire and survived. How did he do it?" one human whispered to another. Their eyes were wide. "I would have died," said another. John did not answer. He only looked at the princess once more. She waved slightly, small and shy, but the gesture was enough. The humans smiled faintly. Perhaps this was the start of something bigger. Perhaps humans were not just fragile beings from a small world. Perhaps they could be respected. Perhaps courage was the truest measure of strength. The queen leaned back on her throne again. Her gaze rested on John, and for the first time there was something other than anger. There was thought. There was consideration. Perhaps humans had something to teach the galaxy, after all. And somewhere deep inside, John knew the real test was not over. He had proven his actions, but he had not yet changed the hearts of all who watched. That would take more than honesty. It would take patience, courage, and time, and John Carter was ready for that. The hall remained alive with quiet tension, but for the first time a spark of hope flickered. A human had stood against the wrath of a queen and survived. The Empire had seen strength in a species they had dismissed. The story was far from over, but the first chapter of trust had begun. The hall had quieted after the memory review, but tension still hung in the air. The queen sat on her throne, her hands folded, watching John Carter carefully. The humans remained near the edge of the hall, their eyes wide, their breaths slow and steady. John knew that surviving the memory review was only part of the challenge. He could feel the queen's mind still probing, still judging, still searching for weakness. "Humans are unusual," the queen said finally, speaking aloud though most of the court had already begun whispering. "You do not collapse under pressure like other species. You are small, fragile, yet your mind is not weak. It endures." John bowed slightly, not out of fear, but out of respect. He understood that in alien culture, acknowledgement of authority was required. "Thank you," he said simply. "I only acted to help, that is all." The queen's eyes narrowed. She leaned forward, her long fingers tapping the edges of her throne. "Actions alone do not show truth. Humans can deceive. Humans can hide intentions under calmness. We must see more. You will endure a test that few survive." John felt a flicker of fear, but it was small. He had faced the memory review, he had stood tall before the wrath of the queen, and he had acted without hesitation when the princess was in danger. He knew that whatever came next, he would meet it the same way, with courage and focus. The attendants moved again, holding glowing crystals that pulsed with energy. Threads of light reached toward John, deeper and more probing than before. They were not just seeing memory now. They were testing his mind, his endurance, his capacity to withstand pressure and emotion. Humans were known to falter under this intensity, yet John held his ground. As the threads touched him, images and sensations flooded his mind. He saw moments from his childhood, falling from a tree, being hurt and comforted by his mother, learning to care for others. He felt fear, confusion, and grief. Then he remembered moments of responsibility, tending to injured friends, helping strangers, saving lives without hesitation. He focused on the princess, her small hand, her frightened eyes, her trust in him. He remembered wrapping her wound, singing softly, keeping her calm. That thought anchored him. It kept the fear from overwhelming him. The threads of light searched, trying to find doubt, trying to find deception, trying to find weakness. John held his mind like a stone in a river. The court watched silently, Whispers spread among the aliens. They had expected humans to crumble under such mental pressure, yet this one did not. Some attendants tilted their heads in confusion. They had always believed humans were too fragile to survive even minor mental scrutiny. Now they were seeing something different: resilience. "Your mind is strong," one of the advisors said quietly. "We expected collapse. Humans usually cannot endure this, yet he stands." The Queen's voice was sharp. "Do not be fooled. Endurance alone does not show intent. Humans can lie under pressure. We must see his nature. We must understand his truth." John felt the pressure increase. The threads dug deeper, testing not only memory but emotion. He felt moments of guilt, moments of loss, moments when he had been unsure. He let the threads see all of it. He did not hide, he did not shield. He allowed the court to see the human truth, not perfect, not flawless, but honest. Images of other humans appeared. John's thoughts went to ordinary people, neighbors helping each other in storms, strangers lifting others from danger, soldiers risking lives for comrades. Humans were small, yes, but they endured, they cared, and they survived. The court watched, fascinated. They had not expected such strength in a species so seemingly weak. The princess stepped closer to John, her small voice soft. "He is kind," she said. "He saved me. He did not hurt me, he cares." The court murmured again. Royal children rarely spoke in public, and never had they confirmed the actions of a human before. The Queen's eyes softened slightly, though her pride and fear remained. She realized that her daughter's trust was genuine. The human had earned it. John felt the threads begin to withdraw slowly. The test was ending, and he was still standing. His body ached, his mind was exhausted, but he was alive and unbroken. He had proven more than his honesty. He had proven resilience, patience, and care. The Queen leaned forward, her voice quieter but no less commanding. "Humans are strange, fragile, yes, but with a mind that does not easily break. Perhaps there is more to you than we understood. Perhaps humans have a strength that is hidden from those who judge by size or appearance." John bowed his head slightly. "We are not strong in the ways most expect," he said. "But we endure, we care, we try to do what is right even when it is difficult." The Queen's daughter stepped forward. Her hand was fully bandaged, her eyes calm and trusting. She spoke with quiet authority. "He helped me, he did not harm me, he saved me, he is brave." The court fell silent. The Queen looked at her daughter, then back at John. The layers of anger, fear, and suspicion began to soften. She realized that the human before her had acted with honesty, courage, and care. The threads of the mind test had revealed not just his actions, but his character. "You have survived what few could endure," the Queen said. "And your nature is clear. You are honest, you are brave, and you have acted with care for my daughter. These qualities are rare." John nodded. "I only did what anyone should do, help those in danger. Protect life when possible, nothing more." The Queen considered his words. She had met many species in her long life, but few had impressed her so. Most relied on strength, intelligence, or cunning. Humans had none of these in the ways she expected, yet they possessed something different: quiet endurance, courage, and compassion. She realized that such qualities could be more powerful than raw strength. "Your people may not be strong in body, but they are strong in spirit," she said finally. "Perhaps there is value in understanding humans, not as weak beings, but as creatures who endure, who act with courage, who care for life." John felt relief, though he remained cautious. He knew the Queen's mind was still strong, her authority absolute. She could change her decision at any moment. Yet for now, he had gained her attention, her recognition, and her tentative respect. The Queen's daughter smiled faintly at him, small and shy. "Thank you," she said softly, "for helping me, for being kind." John smiled back. "I only wanted to help," he said. The Queen's attendants whispered among themselves. They had always believed humans were fragile, weak, and unremarkable. Now they saw a different truth. Perhaps humans could survive challenges they had never expected. Perhaps they had qualities that could change the way the galaxy saw them. The Queen leaned back on her throne, her gaze still sharp but thoughtful. She had seen courage, honesty, and compassion displayed by a small human. She had seen her daughter trust him. She had seen that humans were more than appearances suggested. And though her anger had not fully vanished, respect had begun to grow. "You will remain here," she said at last, "for observation, but know this: you have proven more than most species could. The court will consider your actions, and we will see the consequences for both you and your people." John nodded. He did not ask for freedom, reward, or praise. He only wished for fairness, for the chance for humans to be seen as they truly were. He knew that this moment was only the beginning. The memory review had tested him, but the greater test was to show the court and the Queen that humans could act with honesty, courage, and care in ways that even the strongest species might overlook. He looked at the princess again. Her small hand rested safely in her bandage, her eyes calm, her trust in him complete. That trust gave him strength, more than any weapon or training. He had saved a life, and in doing so, he had begun to change the way an entire empire saw humanity. Outside, the stars shone through the hall's massive windows. John Carter, human medic from a small planet, had survived the wrath of an alien queen, endured the probing of the Empire's mind readers, and revealed the hidden strength of his species. The galaxy had begun to see that humans were more than fragile bodies. They carried courage, honesty, and endurance that could not easily be broken. And though the Queen's anger had not fully vanished, and though the court would continue to judge him and his people, a spark of understanding had begun. A spark that might one day grow into trust, respect, and perhaps even alliance. John's heart was still steady. He had endured, he had proven truth, and he had gained the attention of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He knew the path ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that humans, small and simple as they seemed, could rise to meet challenges greater than size, strength, or fear. This was only the beginning. The Empire had seen the first signs of human courage. And John Carter, standing quietly in the center of the alien court, was the first to show it the hall was quieter than before, but the tension lingered like a heavy fog. John Carter remained near the center, standing with calm patience. The humans near the edge whispered among themselves, sharing quiet observations and fears. John's endurance during the memory review had impressed some of the aliens, but the Queen's judgment was still absolute. She had not yet declared him innocent. The final decision rested in her hands, and the humans could only wait. The princess, small and delicate, stood near the Queen's throne. Her bandaged hand rested lightly at her side. She looked at John with soft, clear eyes, unafraid and trusting. For the first time she stepped forward, her voice soft but audible throughout the hall. "He saved me," she said. "He did not hurt me, he was gentle. He sang while he healed me, he cared." The court fell silent. No royal child had spoken so openly in decades. Her words carried weight, and every being in the hall turned to look at her. Some whispered in astonishment. Her voice had confirmed John's story. She had seen the truth, and she trusted him. The Queen's eyes narrowed as she looked at her daughter. Pride, fear, and anger battled within her. She had always protected her child carefully, never allowing others to touch her, never allowing anyone to challenge her authority. Yet her daughter spoke with honesty, and her words could not be ignored. The Queen leaned forward slightly, her long fingers gripping the edges of the throne. "My daughter speaks," the Queen said slowly, her voice softening. "And her words are not false, yet the laws of the Empire are strict. Touching royalty without permission is a crime." "You humans stand accused, you must answer further," John bowed slightly, showing respect. "I understand," he said calmly. "I acted only to help. I did not consider rank or fear. I only wanted to protect her." The Queen's attendants moved closer, holding glowing crystal devices once more. John felt the familiar threads of energy brushing against his mind, probing for truth. Yet this time the pressure was different. It was not only a test of endurance. It was a test of intention, of honesty, and of character. As the threads entered his mind, John thought of the princess's small hand, the way she had trembled with pain. He remembered wrapping the bandage carefully, pressing gently to stop the bleeding. He remembered the fear in her eyes, the way she had looked at him for reassurance. He focused on those moments, letting them anchor him against the probing. The court watched, captivated. Whispers spread among the aliens. Humans were supposed to be weak, fragile, and fearful. Yet John endured, showing calmness, honesty, and care. He did not flinch under the pressure, did not try to hide. He allowed the court to see the truth of his actions. The princess took another step forward. "He did not hide," she said. "He stayed calm, he did not panic. He only wanted to help me. He is brave. He is kind." The Queen's gaze softened, though she did not speak immediately. She remembered the sharp edge of the crystal that had cut her daughter's hand. She remembered the fear she had felt when she realized her child could be injured. And now she saw a human, small and fragile compared to her own size, standing tall and unbroken, having risked everything to save her daughter. Humans are different, the queen murmured. I have judged them as weak, fragile. Yet here is one who has faced my wrath, endured the mind tests, and acted with care for my daughter. He has proven something unusual. John nodded, understanding the queen's hesitation. I ask only that you see what happened, he said simply. I saved her. I did not harm her. I acted with care. The queen leaned back slightly, her gaze still fixed on John. She considered her daughter's words, the memories she had seen, and the courage of this human. Slowly, she began to soften. She had always been proud, protective, and cautious. Yet she could not deny what she had witnessed: honesty, courage, and compassion displayed by a human in a way few species could match. Your words and your mind show truth, the queen said finally. Few could endure what you have endured. You have not only acted with care, but you have shown strength in spirit. Humans, perhaps we have underestimated you. John bowed again. I do not seek reward, he said. I only ask that humans be judged fairly, that our actions are seen as we truly are. The princess spoke once more. Please, she said softly, do not punish him. He saved me, he helped me, he cared. The queen looked at her daughter, then back at John. A long silence followed. The court watched, captivated. The queen's anger had not vanished completely, but it had softened. Respect was growing, born of honesty, courage, and the clear care John had shown. Your actions have value, the queen said at last. Not only to my daughter, but to this court. You have shown that humans, though small, have strength in ways we did not expect. Courage, endurance, and care are not measured in size, nor in physical power. They are measured in spirit, and yours is remarkable. John's shoulders relaxed slightly. He had earned acknowledgement, though he remained cautious. The queen's judgment was not complete, and he knew the future could still hold challenges. Yet for the first time he felt that the court and the queen herself might see humans differently. Your daughter's words are important, the queen continued, her voice softening further. She trusts you, and her trust is rare. Few would speak so freely. Few would risk her position to confirm the truth. Your honesty has been seen, your actions understood. John's eyes met the princess's. She gave a small nod, a quiet gesture of trust and respect. It was enough to strengthen him. He had acted correctly, and the recognition, though still tentative, was real. The queen's attendants whispered among themselves. The energy in the hall seemed to shift. What had begun as anger and accusation was slowly turning into curiosity and consideration. Humans had been dismissed for centuries as weak, fragile, and unimportant. Now one human had challenged that belief with calm endurance, honesty, and care for life. You will remain under observation, the queen said finally. But know this, you have earned respect. Your actions will not be forgotten. The court will reconsider its view of your people. Humans may not be as weak as we believed. John bowed slightly. Thank you, he said. I only want fairness for my people, that is all. The princess stepped closer. Please, she said softly, remember that humans can be kind. That courage comes in small packages. I trust him. The queen looked at her daughter and then back at John. A long silence followed. She realized that her anger had not vanished entirely, but her respect had grown. She had seen courage in the face of danger, honesty under pressure, and care where few expected it. She had seen a human endure trials that would have broken most other species. Your actions have changed how I see your people, the queen said finally. Perhaps humans have qualities we did not recognize. Perhaps there is value in understanding them, not as weak beings, but as creatures capable of courage, endurance, and care. John nodded. I hope that is the case, he said simply. Humans wish only to act rightly and to protect life when possible. The court remained silent, absorbing the queen's words. The princess's trust, John's endurance, and his honesty had begun to shift the balance of opinion. Whispers spread quietly. Humans might be more than fragile beings. They might have strength unseen, courage unexpected, and compassion rare among the stars. The queen leaned back on her throne. Though her authority was absolute, her mind had begun to open. She realized that humans, small and simple, could act with power that did not rely on size or force. They had courage, care, and endurance that few species could match. And John Carter had shown all of it in a single act of compassion. Your presence here has value, she said finally. We will see what comes next. But know this, you have begun to change the perception of your people in this empire. Your courage, honesty, and care have been witnessed. John bowed once more. He felt a quiet satisfaction, though he remained cautious. The Queen's judgment was not yet complete, but he had gained something even more important: acknowledgement. He had shown the true strength of humans, and that was the first step toward respect. The princess smiled faintly, small and shy, but her eyes held trust and admiration. John returned the smile quietly. He had saved a life, and in doing so, he had begun to shift the view of an entire empire. Outside, the stars shone through the great windows of the hall. John Carter, human medic, had endured, he had acted with honesty, and he had shown care for life. The court had begun to see humans differently, and the first spark of understanding had begun to grow. This was not the end. The Queen's judgment was still in motion, and the humans would remain under scrutiny. But a seed of trust had been planted, and the recognition of human courage had begun. John knew the path ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that humans, small as they seemed, could endure, could act rightly, and could inspire respect even in the most powerful of beings. The Empire had begun to see that strength came in many forms. Courage, honesty, and compassion could shine brighter than fear or power alone. And John Carter, standing quietly in the hall, had shown it to them. The hall was calm, though the tension had not completely disappeared. John Carter stood near the center, his posture steady, his eyes alert. The humans at the edge of the hall whispered quietly among themselves, their fear slowly giving way to hope. John had endured the Queen's wrath, passed the memory tests, and shown courage and honesty that few species could match. Yet the final judgment of the alien Queen was still to come. The Queen sat on her throne, her large green eyes scanning the court. She had spent the past hours reflecting on what she had seen. John's actions had been clear, his intentions honest, and his courage undeniable. The princess had spoken, confirming his care and bravery. Slowly, the Queen's pride and anger began to soften into respect. She had learned something important. Humans, small and fragile as they appeared, could possess a strength that transcended physical power. "John Carter," the Queen said, her voice strong but calm, echoing across the hall. "You have endured tests that would break most of your kind. You have acted with honesty, courage, and care for my daughter. Your actions and your mind have been observed, and now the Empire has seen what few have expected." John bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said simply. "I only acted to help. I did not wish to harm your daughter or dishonor your empire." The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then slowly she spoke again. "Humans are often dismissed as weak, fragile, and unimportant. Yet you have shown qualities that are rare among the stars: endurance under pressure, courage in the face of danger, and compassion for life. These qualities cannot be ignored." The court murmured quietly. Many attendants leaned forward, whispering to one another. The humans at the edge of the hall exchanged astonished glances. For the first time, they were seeing their species recognized and respected by one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "By the authority vested in me," the Queen continued, "I hereby clear you of all blame. You have harmed no one, you have acted rightly, and the actions of your people shall not be judged by the mistakes or fears of individuals." John's shoulders relaxed slightly. He had expected the possibility of punishment, yet here was acknowledgement, respect, and a declaration of fairness. He looked at the princess, who stood near the throne, small but composed. She gave him a faint nod, a gesture of trust and gratitude. "Your courage has changed how this court sees your people," the Queen said. "Humans may be small, but you have shown strength that cannot be measured by size or physical power alone. Your spirit is strong, your actions are honest, and your care for life is remarkable. The Empire shall remember this day." The humans near John let out quiet sighs of relief. Some smiled, others blinked in disbelief. For centuries, humans had been dismissed by alien civilizations as weak and fragile. Now one human had stood before a queen, endured tests that could have destroyed him, and proven the hidden strength of his species. The princess stepped forward, her small form illuminated by the soft light of the hall. "He saved me," she said, her voice clear and strong. "He was gentle, he cared, and he did not harm me. He is brave, he is kind. I trust him, and I hope the court will understand humans as I do." The Queen's eyes softened as she looked at her daughter. Pride, relief, and a deep sense of respect filled her gaze. She turned back to John. "Your actions and your mind have taught us something important. Humans are more than appearances suggest. They have courage, endurance, and compassion, and for this they shall have a place among the stars, respected and understood." John bowed again, feeling a quiet satisfaction. He had not sought reward or fame. He had acted because it was right. And now, not only had he saved a life, but he had also begun to change the perception of humanity across a powerful empire. The court remained silent for a moment, absorbing the Queen's words. Some aliens whispered in admiration. Others leaned back, processing the revelation. Humans were small, yes, but they were capable of acts that could inspire respect, even fear, in the right way. Courage, honesty, and care had proven stronger than intimidation or size. Humans shall not be judged unfairly for their fragility, the Queen declared. They shall be considered equals in character and courage. And those among you who act with care and honesty shall earn the respect of this empire. John nodded once more. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said quietly. My people will honor this trust, and we will strive to act rightly. The Queen's daughter stepped closer to John. Remember, she said softly, courage comes in small packages. Kindness and care are as important as strength. You have shown both. John smiled faintly. I will remember, he said. The Queen's attendants began to move through the hall, returning the crystal devices to their stands. The energy that had filled the hall began to fade, leaving only quiet light and calm. The humans relaxed, though they remained cautious. They had witnessed something remarkable. One of their own had earned the respect of an entire empire. The Queen leaned back on her throne, her gaze sweeping the hall. She addressed the court once more. Let this be known, humans are not to be dismissed as fragile or weak. They are capable of endurance, honesty, and courage that few species possess. The actions of John Carter shall be remembered as a symbol of these qualities. The court bowed their heads in acknowledgement. The humans at the edge of the hall exchanged glances, filled with quiet pride and relief. For the first time, they felt that their species might have a place among the stars, not as outsiders, but as respected members of the galactic community. John turned to leave, but the princess stopped him. Please, she said softly, come with me. I wish to see you safely to the human quarters. He nodded, following her through the great hall. The Queen watched them, a mixture of pride and thoughtfulness in her eyes. She had learned an important lesson. Strength was not always measured in size or force. Courage, honesty, and care could be far more powerful. As John and the princess walked, he looked back at the humans. They smiled quietly, relieved that their comrade had been cleared. He felt a deep sense of responsibility, not only to his own life but to the future of his species. Humans had been given a chance to be respected, and he would honor that trust. The princess led John to a quiet corridor. Her small hand brushed gently against the wall as she moved. You have done well, she said. The Empire has seen your courage and honesty. Many will remember this day. John nodded. Thank you, he said quietly. I only acted as I believed was right. I hope humans can continue to earn trust and respect. She smiled faintly. They will, she said. If they act as you have, courage, honesty, and care, these are what matter. The corridor opened to a view of the stars. Human ships rested in the docking bay, small and simple compared to the alien vessels, yet shining brightly under the alien lights. John paused, looking at them. He felt a quiet pride. Humans were small, but they had endured. They had acted rightly, and now the Empire had seen their hidden strength. The princess stood beside him, quiet but attentive. Your people are remarkable, she said. They can endure and care in ways many species cannot. You have shown this today. John smiled softly. I only did what I could. If we continue to act rightly, humans will earn respect. One day, perhaps, they will be trusted across the galaxy. The princess nodded. I believe that is possible, and you have started it. The Queen's voice echoed faintly from the main hall. Let all who are present know, humans are no longer dismissed. They shall be considered for their courage, honesty, and care. This is the judgment of the Empire. John felt a quiet relief. The trial was over. The fear and tension had passed. He had not only saved a life, but he had also begun to secure a place for humanity in a galaxy that had long underestimated them. The princess led John toward the human quarters. Rest, she said softly. You have endured much. Your people need you well. He nodded, feeling the weight of the day lift slightly. He had faced anger, danger, and the judgment of an alien empire. He had endured mind probes, memory reviews, and the watchful eyes of the Queen, yet he had not faltered. He had acted with courage, honesty, and care. And now humanity's place among the stars was brighter because of it. As they walked, the stars shone brightly outside, reflecting in the alien hall's polished surfaces. John thought of the humans waiting for him, the trust of the princess, and the respect of the Queen. Small as they were, humans had shown that courage and honesty could stand against the mightiest forces in the galaxy. The Empire had learned a lesson that day. Strength was not always measured in size, force, or fear. Courage, honesty, and care could shine brighter than any weapon. And John Carter, simple human medic, had shown it to them all. And so, humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer overlooked. The Queen had spoken, the court had acknowledged, and the princess had trusted. One act of courage had changed the perception of a species, proving that even the smallest beings could rise to greatness through honesty, endurance, and care. The stars stretched endlessly outside. The ships of humanity rested in the docking bay. John Carter, standing quietly beside the alien princess, knew that the journey ahead would still be full of challenges, but for the first time he felt hope. Humans had begun to be seen as more than fragile beings. They had been recognized as capable of courage, honesty, and compassion, and that recognition would shine across the stars for generations to come. The Queen's voice echoed faintly once more through the hall, though now it carried a note of respect. Let all species remember, courage and care are not measured by size. Even the smallest can teach the greatest lesson, and today humanity has done so. John smiled quietly, thinking of his people, his home, and the future. Humanity had earned respect. Humanity had endured. And humanity, small and simple as it seemed, had shown the galaxy what true strength really meant. The stars outside shone brighter than ever, reflecting the promise of hope, courage, and a future where humans could stand proudly among the stars.